Good morning, everyone. Welcome once more to the Aurum podcast, where we discuss all matters related to the workplace. I'm your host, Anthony Kuria, and with me, I am with my co-host, Zipporah Kuria, the HR consultant. And today we are continuing with our guest from last week, Philisters Obunga. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, and good morning.
Yes, thank you. Viewers and listeners, Philisters is a seasoned HR professional with over 15 years experience in the field of HR. And last week we had her here, and our discussions last week was so punchy that we couldn't even finish what we were talking about. We were discussing about this month's theme, which is employee wellness, and specifically we were talking about employee wellness, mental wellness. And we did last week. We had a lot of stuff that we were talking about. Issues to do with last year being a year of the pandemic, the issues that came up for both employers and employees, the stress and the disruptions that came in. We discussed about job losses and how they affect employees and even employers to some sense, because it has a financial cost to some of these things. We discussed about how livelihoods and finances were affected to the employees and the effects that this had on their mental wellness, the issues to do with resilience, issues to do with the relationships, within the home. We discussed how HR, human resource managers, can help their colleagues, their fellow employees deal with these issues. And we are glad to continue with that topic today here. Today we are discussing part 2 of the same, where we want to see how then can we build up resilience as individuals, as human resource specialists, as employees, and even as employers. Because, ladies, as you know, as much as employees are affected, it is not an easy thing for an employer to send a group of people home. Having a list of employees, and here you are ticking, this one will go, this one will go. People think that employers are sadists, but Philisters and Zippy, you can confirm that it is not an easy thing just to send people, isn't it?
True, it's not easy.
It is never easy. So today I want us to talk on the part 2 of our discussion, basically continuing with the same discussion we had last week. And I'll start with Zippy. I want us to discuss what could be the triggers and signs of mental challenges, especially on employees.
Thank you, Anthony, and good morning to our viewers. And I think that is an important question for us to understand what would trigger some of the mental challenges that we might have. And I think a lot of times when we hear about mental challenges, we are always thinking about someone walking out in the street and behaving funny and doing all sorts of crazy things. But really, that is not necessarily all it is about mental wellness. We have people who are looking very healthy, but they have challenges in their mental wellness. So it's important for us to be aware of some of the things that could be triggering some of these challenges. And I think one of the issues we need to talk about today is the health challenges. Sometimes you will find employees have sometimes a lot of workload depending on what it is that you're doing. And you will find there are employees who tend to do their work very well. So with those kind of employees, you find everyone tends to keep on heaping more work on them. And sometimes they find it difficult to say no. So they keep on taking in more and taking in more. And what eventually happens is you only have so much time to do so much. So you start realizing then instead of taking your lunch break or your health walks, you say, I don't have the time, I will sit in and do a little bit more work. So what happens, you start negating on the things that would help your well-being and would help you be very alert mentally. And you start having stress kicking in because you have so much to do. So I think that is one of the things that we need to be aware of. The other thing I would think is employee burnout. I personally have gotten burnouts, and they are not a very nice thing to experience. because you literally get completely sick and you don't even know what you're suffering from. But when you look back at it, it's because of the challenges you have had to go through in your work environment, what you're doing. So we need to be aware about burnouts, which again would affect our effectiveness, our efficiency in delivering our work. Because if you're stressed, the truth is you will not have clarity of mind. You will start realizing you're making mistakes. You'll start realizing you might even cause accidents. Sometimes you're driving on the road and you're absent-minded. You don't even know why you're absent-minded, but it's because of the workload probably that you've been having. You're experiencing burnout and you're not realizing. So this becomes a trigger to your mental wellness, because you can see it's affecting your whole mental well-being. Some of the other things I would think would be a trigger or something like trauma. It could be issues that are coming from home. Sometimes I think we look at employees and we don't expect them to have a life outside the work environment. They come in and we don't expect them to have personal challenges. So when they come, we are having so much expectations. Yet we have to remember they're coming when they're wholesome. They're coming as human beings, carrying all the other baggage to the work environment. So some of them will come and they're experiencing abuse at home, experiencing domestic violence at home, and they're coming to the work environment. And we heap more pressure on them. So what happens? It starts affecting their mental wellness. So I think that would be the brief that I would say. I think those are some of the triggers that I would think of my mind would contribute to an employee mental wellness.
Wow. That is very true. Philisters, from your perspective, I'm sure you've seen a few of the things that we have discussed. What's your take?
Just to agree on with what CP has shared, quite a number of those triggers, we experience them in the workplace. But I just want to add on one on death. When you lose a loved one, and not shared maybe with your your manager, or maybe people are not aware that you lost someone who's very close to you. So I think that's one area that we can also pay attention as HR professionals, just to be concerned, when I lose a loved one, a member of the family, because, the grief and the mourning that comes with it. So you find, it kind of affects our mental functionality. So I think that's one of the triggers, and actually that we can see in the workplace, or we can talk about in the workplace, that when we lose a loved one, how do we take care of these employees in the workplace? So death is one of the triggers that it can trigger the mental status of one, because you're not able to cope with it. Maybe it was an abrupt death, maybe, or a long-term illness for that matter. So I think death can also cause a mental challenge to an employee, that they're not able to be productive in their workplace. So,
Thank you, Felicitas.
I think, Anthony, you can allow me to just add on to what Felicitas has said, and this is actually from experience on death of a loved one. I think sometimes we are so concerned with the immediate departure of a loved one. We are there, we are consoling this person, we are giving them comfort, but we move on with our lives too quickly. And what I have realized, or what I have experienced personally, is these employees still have to deal with this, not in a short term, but in a longer term. And we've had situations where you find an employee as disconnected, and sometimes you don't connect that disconnection with that loss they have had to experience. And a lot of times we have had scenarios where employees have been accused of non-performance, and, we are not digging back to see this employee was performing. What has really happened? So I think as professionals, we need to also be a bit human and go back and ask ourselves the hard questions, or even engage them and find out what is really happening, what is going on, so that we don't judge them, yet they're going through such a difficult situation, put them into a situation where we think they're not performing, then probably this makes them even end up losing their job. And that actually adds to their stress levels, adds to their trauma. So I would think what Felista said in terms of bereavement, that is actually very critical to look into.
Yes, ladies, you have really brought it well, because you see, when it comes to mental challenges, we're not saying that, this has no boundaries. It doesn't mean that the employer, the manager, the entrepreneur is immune to mental challenges, because that person also has their own unique set of challenges of running the business, keeping it floating, paying workers, dealing with government, dealing with suppliers, looking for markets. But at the same time, there is also the employee aspect, where now triggers, as you've said, there could be challenges at home. It could be domestic violence. It could be issues to do with parents in upcountry. It could be, as you say, death, and especially a death that comes abruptly due to an accident or something like that. These are challenges that, as HR professionals, you're managing up. You're managing your boss, and at the same time, you're also managing those below you. You're managing your employees and all that. So it's tricky for HR managers. Even from what I'm hearing, ladies, it's like being a HR professional is more, has an aspect of psychological ball juggling. You're managing your boss. You don't know how you'll come with their stress and all that, and then you're also managing your colleagues who are coming to you, telling you, oh, this happened. Oh, my dad passed away. Oh, my wife is beating me. My husband is beating me. Oh, my children, all this. As a HR professional, it looks like you're a part psychologist, part.
Yes, yes, we are. We are, Anthony, because like one of the units in CHRP, we are doing counseling and coaching. So that's a very important course for HR professionals. So we learn how to, counsel employees in such cases of stress. We are doing coaching. So it's true for HR. We are wearing many hats on that side.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And that is why even you as HR need to also go somewhere and distress, and because you can't be carrying everybody's burdens, and you don't have a place where to go and also pour out, as it were. So as we continue discussing, I can see comments are coming in. Thank you from Master. We have already begun. Oguda, the management, thank you for your encouragement. Indeed, you're saying great topics. Reality at work. That is very true about that. The reality of life, what happens here and now in the world of management. Now, Philisters, let me now bring this story, this aspect. How can employers manage employee mental well-being? How can they help in that direction?
Sorry, thank you, Anthony. Our mind is a very powerful tool. Yes. And it's the engine of our body. So we must guard it at all costs. We must take care of it. In fact, I equate it to the computer, the CPU, where you get the data and it processes everything. So our mind works in that kind of a setting, where the information we get, the noise that we get, the good things that we hear, they all go into our mind. So how do we ensure that even in the environment that we work now, in the workplaces, that in the COVID era, post-COVID, how do we ensure that our workforce, their mental status is healthy? We are talking about a healthy mind. We've talked of triggers, of mental challenges. So how do we ensure as employers that this very sacred tool that we have, how do we manage it for the benefit of the employee and the organization? So one thing that I think we've learned in the last 1 year, I would say, is communication is key. And I think at one point we were talking about how can you communicate? We said even over-communicate, because personalities are different, isn't it?
True.
We are dealing with the sanguines and all the kinds of people in the workplace. So how do we communicate? There are those who will hear the information, they'll say, I didn't hear, I didn't get that information. So as an employer, I think one of the areas is to ensure that teams are well structured. The communication will flow to all members. So that's one area of communication, over communicate, so that it is clear. So even as employees get this information, they are able to process it in a positive way. The other thing I talk about also, I can say, is how the relationship between the managers and the team. These days we don't call them subordinate, we call them managers and the team, because it's a teamwork. Am I trained is Zippy trained to see that
Yes.
Felicitas has lost a brother,
Yes.
so she's going through a mental challenge,
Mm-hmm.
or so and so has lost a mother. So how do you help such an employee? So
Yes.
in the workplace, in the structures that we have in the communication, we need to empower the managers to be sensitive. Just look out for those signs. Maybe you're not able to deliver as agreed. You can find out, what's happening.
Yes.
And maybe just lastly, because I know we are always time conscious, we talk of the EAP, Employee Assistance Programs. We talked about them last week, where
Yes.
we talk about stress.
Yes.
Hmm? Are
Yes.
you overloaded with work? Is it your family structures? Because now, because of the isolation that we had, is it the
Yes.
family setting? Is it the family setting that
Mm-hmm.
is hindering your productivity? Or
Yes.
how can we go around that? So I think
Mm-hmm.
for employers now, it's a time where we've moved from our comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
to outside to take care of our employees. Just to
Yes.
communicate, when there's no communication, we know we thrive in rumors,
That
isn't
is
it?
that is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, so let's just ensure that we communicate what's going on in the company so that
Mm-hmm.
employees are aware to
Yes.
develop that positive mental status,
Yes.
ensure that the managers are well trained to take care of the team,
Mm-hmm.
to see any triggers,
Mm-hmm.
stress, depression. And Anthony, depression is one of those areas, I think, number one or number two
Mm-hmm.
according to the WHO,
Mm-hmm.
that actually is killing people. So are we able to signal out that Felista is going through depression, and how can we get them into this
Yes.
EAP program? So I think that's are some of the areas, and I'm sure we'll get some from the comments on
Yes.
how we can manage employee wellness in the workplace. And just lastly, maybe to promote it yourself.
Uh-huh.
For me, for example, I've been exercising for years, Anthony, and it's good for
Yes.
my health. And
Mm-hmm.
so, a leader, you can demonstrate,
Yes.
show them, ask them,
Yes.
we are going through this isolation, things are not the way they were. But what are you doing? Can you join a book club? Can you join a meditation group? So I think for me, those are the areas that we as employers, we can help our employees to maintain a healthy mindset.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, thank you.
You have really brought it out nicely. Zippy, what's your view?
Well, just to add on to what Felisa has said, because I think she's captured it very well. I think the other way we can look at this is we need to also engage the champions who can help us in championing wellness in the workplace. So as HR professionals, let's not take the whole burden to ourselves. Let's appoint people who can work with us, people who can reach out to the other team members and
Yes.
become champions of well-being. Let's come up with programs that are easy to to get involved in and get employees getting into that culture of getting into these wellness programs. I think sometimes when you say wellness program, sometimes it sounds such a big name and people
Yeah.
don't really want to get involved because I think I'm so busy, I have work to do. And
Yeah.
we don't realize actually getting into these wellness programs will help in our well-being and will help us in our own productivity. I think the other thing I can say, it's not just the employer's responsibility alone. Like Felisa has said, she has taken upon herself to make sure, she's well by exercising and doing all these things. As an
Yes.
employee, I think we also have responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look at our eating habits. How are we eating? What kind of food are we eating? Are we eating junk during the day? We are not eating healthy and we are sitting for long hours. Are we taking healthy breaks when you're working? Or are we the kind of people who sit from morning to evening? I know personally I've been accused of that so many times where I sit for long hours and I realize it's not a healthy practice for me. Within no time, I will start having these challenges because I'm not taking care of my own well-being. So let's take healthy breaks. Let's eat healthy. Let's exercise. Take a walk. If you're building as a lift, don't always be so in a hurry to get into that lift. You know, walk up the stairs, walk down the stairs. You know, let's do those things that seem so simple and so mundane, but they are very important to our own well-being. Some of us are driving. We don't even get that time to, you know, to get to take that walk. Use the opportunity to climb to floor 7 by going up the stairs and going down. I mean, already you will have done a lot of exercise, you know, to help you within the day. So I think that is what I would add on to what Philisters said. But there's a lot that we can do in terms of bringing in welfare programs into the work environment. And something else you said earlier, which for me, I think I've been thinking about it, and I think it's a major concern, even for HR professionals. You know, they're the ones who listen to all manner of issues from employees and sometimes even from the employer. You know,
Yes.
the question is, where are you getting your help from? You know, are you talking to someone so that you also don't get yourself in a situation where you're having mental challenges and you're not realizing? And instead of helping yourself, you're helping others, but yourself, you're in trouble. So also as HR professionals, we need to look at ourselves and say, what am I doing to make sure my well-being is taken care of?
Wow, ladies, you are really hitting this very well. You are bringing it the meat and bones. Issues to do with employers, issues to do with employees, issues to do with exercise, issues to do with you as a professional taking care of yourself. One of the things that we need to, and I like the way both Zippy and Philisters you have put it, that the employer doesn't have to do doesn't have to construct a state-of-the-art gym for employees to be going there and jumping up and down every morning. No. Issues to do with getting champions within the various departments. Your point, it doesn't have to be the head of department. It could be one of those guys who are very active. Get the people, decide this department on Saturday morning, let's go and run. Let's go for a hike. Let's go for a hike somewhere. Or let's take care about what we eat. If one of us has been bereaved, within the teams they can organize. Let's go out to Coseles, for example. Take this colleague of ours to remove the pain and distress. Let's go to Coseles and enjoy a cup of soda there. Chat about football, men, ladies. Chat about whatever. Basically take care of each other, and therefore build resilience. Build resilience in each one of us. I like the comments that are coming in. Mr. Kamaliki of PRC Africa. I like what you have said, that some people go through divorce and separation. This causes mental stress to employees that we need to dig deeper. Kamaliki, that's a powerful, imagine the people who go through separation and divorce in the workplace. Because, the bereavement could be there. There could be issues to do with finances and all that. But separation and divorce is also a big, big deal. Yeah, I like what Jimmy Ogwang has said. Great topic, interpersonal communication is key. Very true. Interpersonal, you've got to find a way to relate. Nelson Saitoti, thank you for your comments. Communication is indeed very key. And promoting team building within your teams. That is very true. Team building is not going out on a certain day, kwenda kurukaruka. No, it can also be within within your teams. Team building doesn't have to be something outside. It's creating a feeling that we are a cog in the wheel of this organization. And you see, those are the kind of relationships that you maintain even after you exit the company. There are people I remember I worked with them years ago. But because we had a good team spirit, we still talk when they're getting married, when babies come, they visit me or I visit them. So you create teams, because by doing that as an employee, you're not only creating an environment around yourself that becomes like a shock absorber when inevitable life issues come up. So you can be able to lean on such. So I want to bring now the third issue. I can see our time is really going, and this hotter and hotter. But let's not worry too much about time, because I can see ladies, I can see from the comments that we are really getting into this. This is something that is very real. Now, Zipporah, I'll ask you, what are the benefits of having employee wellness programs?
Well, I think there are a lot of benefits that would come in when you have employee wellness programs at the workplace. But even before I touch on that, something else I've just remembered. As human beings, sometimes when we're going through challenges, we tend to keep to ourselves. I think we need to get to that place of asking for help. If you're going through a challenge, don't die alone. Talk to someone, ask for help. And when you ask for help, people will always be willing to.
Yes.
As HR people, let's make our offices approachable. Let's make our offices, easy for employees to come and, pour out their challenges so that we can be able to offer support. But in terms of looking at what benefits could come out of having wellness programs, one of the things I think when you have healthy workforce or a healthy work environment, productivity definitely will go up. Employees will be happy to get their work done. They will not struggle to get work done because mentally, they're okay. They're not having so many issues happening, and they'll be able to, work well and have effectiveness in whatever they are doing. I think the other thing I would say would be a benefit would be reduced cost. When employees get unwell, what happens? We get a lot of absenteeisms. We have to incur sometimes medical bills, and that's a cost to the employer. When you're having prolonged absenteeism, what happens? You have to recruit to replace that person or to have that work, going on. So what happens? That's an extra cost to the employer. The employee is suffering while they're out there. They're having to go through, medical treatment and all this is again another cost. And, by making sure we are having wellness programs, we can reduce this level of cost because our employees are not going to have so many absenteeisms that are necessary because their well-being is well taken care of. I think that those are some of the benefits that I would think off my head. And of course, increased morale. Again, if there are wellness programs, what happens? Employees are more happier. When employees have gone out for 30 minutes, they jumped and they've come back to the office, they're more energetic, they have more morale, to keep going, they're more energetic. So those are some of the benefits. And I don't think there's any employer who wants their work environment to be dull, or to have people walking around like they're going to fall down the next moment. We want people who are being energetic, people who are easy to talk to, people who are smiling. I don't know whether you've been in an environment where people are happy, or you walk into an office, people are working, but once in a while you will hear her laugh and you're like, these people are so happy. You want such kind of an environment. So I think those are some of the benefits we would get from having these programs.
Yes, Philisters, what's your take?
Just to add on what ZP has shared, I think one of the areas that you can see the benefit of having employee wellness is you'll have high-performing teams because you demonstrated to them that you care, you love them. This is an extra program that you're giving them. It's like a bonus.
Yes.
So for me, I think as an individual, you'll feel like the employer appreciates you, he recognizes you, and definitely this will lead to high-performing teams. So I think that's one of the areas we can say that it's of benefit both to the employer and also to the organization. Yeah, just that respect only, that you care for me, Anthony. You take care of my back. When I'm crying, when I'm down, I can go to the HR and say, I need this, and they'll be able to direct me either to counseling or to the champion, as CP had said earlier. Champions that you can go to in terms of when you need help. So I think they're great programs if implemented well. Yeah.
Wow.
And the other thing, Anton, probably I can add on to what Felista has said, improved relationships. I think we reduce conflicts when we have welfare programs because, we reduce the stress levels. You realize when stress levels are high, conflicts are also high because people are not able to understand each other because of the level of stress they're probably undergoing. So I think it also helps in improving relationships and making sure the conflicts are minimized in the work environment.
Wow. I can see our comment section is on fire. I'm getting very interesting comments there. Pamela Mwendwa, I like the way you've said that this is a very important issue that has always been overlooked. Let's create a culture where employees are always looking out for each other. That is very true, Pamela. When you're looking out for each other, you create a team spirit. people know that I'm working for this team. I'm part of a great team. I'm part of a group of individuals who, beyond succeeding and producing well in the workplace, we are also cognizant of the fact that we are not machines. We're individuals, we're human beings, we have a life outside the workplace. Oguda, he's saying something very interesting. Is work-life balance a reality or a fallacy? We need to work to get money for basic needs. We need life to work. How do we clear the gray areas to make us whole? Oguda, that is very true. I mean, it's not a fallacy. It is there. I know. I have Zippy and I have friends who are senior executives in some of these in the banking sector. But these guys, this particular gentleman, or I could say a number of gentlemen, they have found a way, in spite of their very busy schedule, very demanding, but they found a way to include exercise into it, to include other things, to be able, if you look at the most successful executives in Kenya and elsewhere, those who look like, okay, what do these guys eat? How is it that they look fit and they're smiling, yet you're imagining this guy has a schedule that is crazy? It's finding a way to infuse exercise into their schedule, to be able to get, to get the stress out of your body, to be able to, after that work hard load, you can go and spend an hour in the gym or in the racing track or whatever to get yourself, back into even keel. Thank you, Naomi Zilani. You have appreciated our discussion. Thank you, Nemo Priscilla. Jeremy Ogwang says reduced workload is perfect for mental well-being. Now, unfortunately, it's not everybody we don't have the privilege of saying reduced workload. Somebody has to do that job, and especially if the company is doing well. And I'm sure right now, post-COVID, okay, I can't say post-COVID, but during this era, there's some people who are dying to work. I mean, they're fed up of staying at home, fed up of not being employed. I remember one time I was not employed. I did not have a job for, I think, a year or so. So when I got this job, I did not care how long I remember I could work until 8 at night. It's like I had pent up energy. I was driven. I didn't care whether my colleagues are smiling at me or not. I guess there was a time in my life where I really needed to work. But now I'm a bit wiser. I would not take in everything as it comes. So, ladies, as this topic is juicy, this topic is real, because everyone needs wellness. Everyone needs to think. I mean, everyone needs to be at a place where they can balance their lives and the workload. Looking at the fact that there is a lot of stress with layoffs and uncertainty concerning the economy. What would be your conclusions? Well, how can we close this topic, Philisters? If we could start with you, how can we bring this discussion to a natural conclusion?
As we conclude, I'm reminded of a quote by Richard, is it Branson? He said that when we take care of our employees, they'll take care of our business. And when we talk of employee wellness programs, Anthony, the employer, has given you the program. It's a give and take. The employer has stretched a hand, so you have to meet in the middle. So the employer is giving you with the right, you take with the left, and when we combine forces, I am sure that we'll have a very healthy working relationship, and our mental status will improve. We'll have a positive energy within the groups. We'll have engaged employees. And as Dave always says, Ulrich says that, our employers, they're the ones who make us, win in the marketplace. So having these programs, for me, the employer has given it, let's take it, and then we make our employers win in the marketplace with a healthy mental status, physical, health, and spiritual in totality. Thank you very much. Yes, that's my conclusion on this matter.
Wow, that's a punchy conclusion. Zipporah, what do you say?
Thank you, Anthony. I like what one of our viewers has said. Work-life balance could be a tall order. We can possibly try work-life integration. And I was going to tell Mr. Kamaliki, I'm not so sure whether he's the one who talked about work-life balance. It's a very hot discussion. about work-life balance, whether it's work-life balance or life balance. But I think we need to integrate life into our work environment and put in place measures that would help us have, our well-being taken care of. But to actually just mention, I think we need to bring in the culture of ensuring we have a good environment to work in. Most of us spend a lot of time in the work environment. Let's create an environment that is conducive to our workers. Let's create an environment that employees are well taken care of, that they know we have their back, that they know they're not just working for us, but we have their back in terms of taking care of their wellness. Okay. I think the other thing I will mention is we will continue having these discussions, and we would love to hear questions that you'd want us to tackle, especially in our roundtable discussion, so that again we can address these issues that are affecting us in the work environment.
Wow, ladies, today has been energetic. The 35 minutes plus that have passed have felt like they're just 10 minutes. I mean, it's been punched, it's been good. Because this is a reality. This is what we face. And this month of February at Aurum Consultants podcast, we will be discussing issues related to employee wellness. Issues not just about mental. We'll discuss issues to do with financial well-being. We'll discuss matters that revolve the employee in totality, whether it's in their finances, whether it is in their career advancement, whether it is in the mental aspect. This is what we'll be discussing, and we encourage our viewers to log in every Saturday through our logins through YouTube, through Facebook, and even through the Aurum Consultants website. We will be glad to be able to discuss more, to find out how can we be of help. How can we as Kenyans, as employers, as employees, be able to take care of the circumstances around us to be able to be the best that we could be. We are very thankful for all of you who logged in into this Aurum podcast. We thank you for spending your morning with us, and we pray that we will continue being of benefit to you as you log in, as you listen to us. Thank you, Sahara Mohammed. Thank you for the good words that you've said, that this was a good discussion that was real. Log in next week, same time, same place. We will be discussing more about the financial aspect. Next week, we'll discuss the financial aspect, and we hope that you will log in so that we can discuss more about these matters. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.